Hi, I'm Yinka, and this is The Hurt Locker, a podcast where we open a door into men's mental health. Coming up, viral sensation and comedian.
Like, you never know what's going to pop. And then it started to hit when I was on the train and people started looking at me on the train.
Tim's just posted 44 million. How do you get your head around that?
It did effectively change my life.
When did you realise that it's better for it to be out than in? You're listening to The Hurt Locker, the podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. And for tonight's guest, we've got none other than viral sensation and comedian Karl Porter. Karl, welcome to The Hurt Locker.
Yeah, honestly, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
No, it's happy to have you on. I was when Tim booked you and all of that, right? I was like, who's that? And then I recalled something from a couple of years back, and when I Googled it, it just made me buzz, and I just watched it again tonight. I asked a couple of my mates who know of you and all of that, and I've got one question straight away. Yeah, and it's a FIFA approached you for a slow-mo knee dive or anything like that?
Not FIFA, which obviously that would have been somewhat different. I think I was in talks of potentially maybe for some sort of, I think it was, I can't recall what video game it was, but there was a potential talk about maybe including me as a player, but just moving around in slow motion in every way on the pitch. So when everyone's moving around in, like you watch FIFA, like when you play FIFA games and stuff, I'll just be there, just dead slow, even running. And but no, not FIFA, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I think you need to bang on their door, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah,
for people who don't know, and I looked at it today, Karl has done a comedy clip, a slow-mo football celebration. And when I looked at the numbers, it said 31 million views.
Oh, views?
Yeah.
Oh, was that on my page?
It wasn't on your page. It was on another page, and now Tim's just posted 44 million.
Jeez. Yeah, I think, God knows what it reached in terms of numbers because, God, I had so many pages messaging me saying, can we post it and credit you? Like, just all the sort of football ones and just big kind of profiles out there, really. So I don't know if mine on my own page got the most, I don't know. But even that's news to me that those numbers on other pages are reaching 30, 40 million, which is...
How do you get your head around that?
It's difficult, really, because I remember when I first posted it, it was weird, actually, because I posted it on a Monday and then I was off for about 10 days with my wife, and we were heading to her mum's because we were going to a festival, and it was 3 days. And I didn't really think nothing of it, because you never really know what's going to go big. Like, you never know what's going to pop, I guess. You just kind of post content like any sort of like comedian or influencer. And then it started to hit when I was on the train and people started looking at me on the train this particular day. And I genuinely, I was that overwhelmed. I nearly collapsed, I think. Because, bless my missus, she was like, oh, let's have a little drink on the train and celebrate, because I think I'd just done BBC News, on a Zoom call that afternoon. And then, the next week, it was very hard to get my head around, because obviously I'm just a normal lad, from a council estate, just kind of trying to live what I love doing. And it was, I think, when I'm getting messages off people, like, for example, people messaging me from Brazil and Japan and Indonesia, saying come over and do gigs here, and I'm like, what do you say to that? You're like, because I'm just I live in Blackpool at the minute, so I just gig around the northwest. So when you're getting people from, because I guess it went global in some way.
It did, 100%, absolutely.
Which is just mental, because I remember my editor, obviously a friend as well on the comedy scene, Phil Sutton he's called. he was saying to me, you should start putting reels out, putting clips out of your material, because it's very unique in the sense of like not a lot of people are doing it, like physicality comedy. So that ironically was probably the first genuine clip I put out, and then it just like, do you know what I mean? It's just like, what the hell? Like, it just went everywhere, and it did effectively change my life. And you know, unfortunately, doing it full time now and being able to just kind of live my dream, really. So,
okay, so let's cut back a little bit. Oh, before we go cut back a little bit, I'm going to just say this to you: 13 points.
13 points.
Yes.
Is this 30? Is it Liverpool?
Of course it is.
It is 12. I do believe.
It's 13.
I'm sure it's 12. You know.
It's 13.
Really? Could we get that
Really?
live now? Because I'm pretty sure we're.
Tim, sort this one out. It's 13.
I'm sure it's 12. You know.
I can check. I can be VAR. I'm not used to looking at the top of the table or even the middle of the table as a Spurs fan this season, but just give us a few seconds, I'll check.
He's checking it now.
Is he now? Oh, it's on tense now. Everyone's on edge, watching like it's like slow motion now, isn't it?
Slow-mo.
Sorry, Yinka, it's 12. Carl, yep, you're right. It's 12 points.
12! No!
Yeah.
But I suppose the goal difference is almost 13.
It's
I'm
12, but our goal advantage.
Is it 12? Yeah, I don't know. I had because Arsenal played the day before, didn't they? And
Arsenal played the day before, so I thought when we beat them, that Everton, that it was just 30. It was 13 then.
Yeah, I don't know, like, because obviously I'm so like, you know, we just want to get it done as quickly as possible, don't we? So I'm very like glued to it. Like, you know, 12 points is still. I think there's 24 points remaining, so we're halfway there. Like, there's no way we can like just let it slip now, can we?
Hey, listen, you've heard of Devon Lock, haven't you?
Who's that? Sorry.
You've heard of Devon Lock, the Queen Mother's horse.
Oh, okay.
That was winning the derby. I think it was the derby. It was streets ahead and it just collapsed before the line.
Oh,
so
no.
yeah, and don't forget when they came to our ground, and Michael Thomas scored 89.
Yeah, because we won it the year. Yeah, it was Arsenal, wasn't it? They won the league last game. Yeah. No, I mean, it is obviously exciting, but I've always said, you know, my wife can't stand me and her dad because we're so like we just want to get it done. We want to be, you know, we're so like, you know, when there's a game on, we're just so stressed watching it, and mathematically, it's not done yet, is it? So
it's not done.
12 points is a lot. Done. You know,
it's not done.
No, it's not. So I feel like these next 3 games are very winnable compared to the last 5 games. So
yeah,
we definitely we just need to get it done quickly as possible, really, where we're not having any bumps in the road, and like, you know, you just don't want to get to Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, you know, Tottenham as well, where it's like
bum time, squeaky
bum. You want to just hopefully have that guard of honour off Arsenal, don't you? You know, just
that would be lovely.
It would be great, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Just like, listen, Arteta, this is Arnie Slot, you know what I mean? Penitentiary and, you know, first season, you know, as it's called anyway. So, yeah, it's exciting. And it's still an unbelievable season, you know, people trying to, you know, social media and the media and everything, they're trying to say, oh, Liverpool have, I think Van Dijk said it last night. Yeah, I think Michael Owen said to him, you know, you lost the final, you went out of Europe, you know, from a special season. And basically Van Dijk cut him off and say, it still is a special season, what are you talking about, you know? Just because you went to Man United, you know, traitor and that.
Absolutely.
So no one expected us to win the league, though, did Jesus?
Nobody expected us to be in this position. So, you know what? Given the fact that we were fighting on so many fronts a few weeks ago and now we're on this one, this was the one that we wanted anyway.
Yeah, I think everyone wants this one, you know, even though, you know, it's sour to lose in a final. Newcastle deservingly won anyway, you know, but
bloody hell, 70 years, of course.
I was happy with them to win it because it wasn't United, Chelsea, City, Arsenal. It wasn't you know, one of these teams. Like, it was someone different, and you know, I like Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? I don't have any hate towards them, to be fair. So I was kind of buzzing for him to have that, you know, that glory of winning a trophy. So Obviously, I mean, if that was the only trophy we was in and we weren't in the position of the league where we are now, I would have been fuming because you just want to win a trophy at least, don't you? So, yes, it's about the fans, though. You know what I mean? I want to see the fans spill onto Anfield. You know, when it's official and confirmed that we're champions. You know.
Will you come to Liverpool when we, if and when we do?
Oh, I've already got an apartment booked it months ago.
Seriously?
Yeah, me,
You're
the wife, dad, and it's one of those cancellation ones, though. You know, a week before. So I've not paid anything. You know what I mean? Thinking smart there, just in case. Don't want to be like, God, I spent $1,000. Not going to be there now. But yeah, no, we booked it. I'll be honest, I booked two, to be honest. I booked a week after that thinking we may win the Champions League. But when PSG knocked us out, I cancelled that one. And
okay.
I've just been... I'm guessing it's on the 26th of May when it's the day after the last result. So very cheap deal.
I dare say, yeah. From the bottom of Queen's Drive, I'll take about 5 hours to get through Liverpool. It'll be madness.
It's going to be... It's bank holiday as well.
Wow, it'll be madness. And no doubt the sun will be shining.
Oh, it's going to be... might just have to like buy a crate of beer from the shop because it's going to be difficult getting anywhere, isn't it?
It'd be rude not to. It'd be rude not to.
Oh, just a couple of beers somewhere because it's going to be, 35 years really. That is something like that hasn't happened, has it? So yeah, it's going to be special.
So tell me, you're a northern lad, born and raised. Where were you born?
Well, this will surprise you. I'm from Cheetham Hill in Manchester.
It surprises me not.
Oh, okay.
And so, what was it like growing up there?
Obviously, it was rough council estate, like a cul-de-sac.
It's got a reputation
in terms of the history of certain the estates and in these northwest. I feel like everywhere's got the rough estates, haven't they? But like I feel like it's very obviously Manchester being like Liverpool, a huge city attraction, and it's got its history with violence, and so it was. Growing up was, I think I was only there till about 6 or 7 years old. So I didn't kind of grow up and experience it as a kid to an adult, I guess. But I kind of saw enough, if you like, and like heard about, stuff going on, ins and outs of the town, the streets where I lived. But I felt like our kind of cul-de-sac was very, together. It was, everyone kind of looked out for each other, like neighbours and all the kids and families, they were like there for each other. Could go down the shop and get me one fags. I was only 4, so that's the sort of the 90s for you, where it was just a bit mad all around.
Did it feel safe?
I kind of, from what I remember, I did kind of feel safe, I guess, because I had older brothers as well. I've got 2 older brothers and then a twin brother, so. Not growing up on my own and kind of like trying to look out just for myself. I guess I was kind of like looked after in a way, which is like, it's great, isn't it? You've got older brothers who kind of know the town more because they're older, they're wiser. And like, I was just a kid really, just knocking about, playing football, playing chase or whatever you did with your mates there. But I definitely felt, I definitely felt safe. I think from where I was, like from where I lived anyway. Because it was rough, but it wasn't. There was definitely a lot more like rougher places, in the same town and the same place where we lived. But yeah, I was okay, I guess. Yeah.
I suppose for me, just as you're talking, then there's this characterization, Channel 4, Shameless, the estates like that, and all.
Yeah, I love Shameless. I wanted to be in it. It was like one of the shows I grew up with, like watching, because it's Manchester as well. And there's a guy called Carl in it, one of the Gallaghers in it. So I was like, I would have been good at that. And he's a twin, and I'm a twin as well. So I was like, me and my twin would have done that. But yeah, no, I don't think it was quite like that. Because it wasn't very open like that. It was very like kind of intimate, I guess, like the kind of streets and the, where we lived. But yeah, I think when we watch it, I kind of get like a nostalgia feeling if I watch Shameless now and think, yeah, that's kind of like, the place I grew up. So yeah, it definitely resembles, that, I guess, yeah.
And so what was it? There was you, your twin, your two elder brothers, mum and dad?
Just mum. So, yeah, it was a bit of a complicated situation. So, me and my twin brother, we had a different dad to my two older brothers. My two older brothers' dad were there, but basically, me and my twin brother's dad like left. Like he just basically, I haven't really gathered most of it because obviously, like I feel like it's a bit of a subject to. Sorry, a bit like a touchy subject, I guess, to bring up. But I think he walked out when we were about 6 months old, maybe 1 year. I think he just basically couldn't be bothered. Really, he was kind of bringing a lot of trouble to our door, from what I heard. And I think my mum basically was just saying like, you've got a choice here. You've got two sons, or just go. And it seemed like he confidently and quickly just went. So, and then like my older brother's dad were there. He was quite ill. He was on like a lot of medication because he passed when I was about 14, 2006. So yeah, it's been a bit weird. I feel like I've been lucky to have my twin brother around, because I kind of dread to think if I didn't have him there, mostly anyway, because obviously we're very close now as well. I've got two older brothers who I don't talk to a lot. Like obviously there's nothing, bad there between us, but it's just like we've kind of got our own kind of lives now. But I stay more in touch, obviously, all the time with my twin brother. So I think it was difficult, but like I mentioned, I feel like because I had my twin brother, it was kind of easier. Yeah.
Have you ever seen your biological dad?
No, I found out in 2010 that he passed in 2005.
How did that leave you?
In all honesty, I remember being, because obviously like my older brother's dad obviously wasn't our biological dad, but he used to come down and actually take us to his house, even though he was ill. He used to come down most weekends and take us up to his house for the weekend, look after me and my twin brother. And because obviously like my two older brothers were kind of like grown up at that point, where it wasn't as like, I think when you're younger, it's kind of fun, if you like going away for the weekend.
Yeah.
So because I looked at him as my older brother's dad, as me and my twin always looked at him as our dad. So I think when the news broke, it was, I don't know, it wasn't really a lot of emotion there. We just kind of, I think my older brother told us actually, because he found out, and I just said, oh, your dad was my dad. So, there was never any, I don't think there's any emotion in it really, because I just thought, well, if he wanted to be a dad, he would have stayed, wouldn't he? So
Are you kind of binary like that in terms of black and white? If he wanted to stay, then he would have been there. If not, then that's his choice.
Yeah, like I don't know what he was maybe going through. Like obviously my biological father, but I just kind of have that sense of like, if you've got kids, you kind of you're there. I feel like it's just like a natural thing. You're there regardless for your kids, So, I mean, if he was kind of still here, say, hypothetically, and he wanted to get in touch, I think I wouldn't be like interested in it.
You would or you wouldn't?
No, I don't think so. I just think, you've had, I don't know, I just don't believe in leaving your kids. I think it's, regardless what you're going through, like, you've made the decision to have kids, and you just should be there for them, shouldn't you? Even if you are going through, a lot on your side, it's kind of sad, I think, when you just think of little babies and kids being these, amazing like creatures, if you like, growing up and being, because I always see my nephew and niece, and it's great that their dads are there and they're growing up happy, like, and that's what's kind of sad, where you wouldn't want to leave that, so it is, yeah, I think it's difficult to think why anyone would do that, but we've me and my twin have coped with it well, like I mentioned, I feel, because we've always had each other's backs and we've just been there for each other. So yeah, I feel like I've dealt with it well. Yeah.
Can I ask, are you a father at the moment?
Not me, no. I'm like the only one. All three of my brothers are. I'm just a cool uncle, I think, at the minute. Yeah.
Is that the role you want to play, or what? Do you want to be a dad? Is the missus on your case?
No, we're kind of, because she does. My wife's she's a singer, and obviously I do comedy, so we understand each other's kind of positions where we work at night. We understand, and we know there's a lot of sacrifice there. But I feel like, because we're been married nearly a year, we're like, the discussions have come up, and I feel like we're both on the same page where, it's definitely not out of the question. It's nice to think about kids. I always kind of thought to myself I probably wouldn't have kids before I met my wife, but since I've been with my wife and we've created this life, I do. If I ever do think of having kids, I definitely would see it with, my wife, if that day came. So it's definitely not out of the question, but it's kind of cool just being an uncle for now, where I can chill
Okay.
and just get off. If baby starts crying, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get that train.
Very slowly.
Yeah. It's like, I'll move on Wednesday and get the train on Friday. Like, don't worry about it.
So tell me, I mean, you got married. It's serious, obviously. How do you know it's the right thing? How do you know she's the one?
I think it's one of those situations where you just know, I guess. And it's very, people say, how do you know? It's just, you'll just know in yourself. I said to her I always say to her, like, not all the time, but if it comes up, I just said, we met in 2020, August. And after 5 weeks, I told her that I loved her. And I knew in my head, I was like, I'll marry this woman. I just knew I found like a special woman, and like I do want to create a life and grow old together. Like, I just feel like, not to sound like, but I don't know. I just kind of, if you know, and I do believe that's true.
Am I tapping into the soft side of you?
No, I'm all good.
I don't know. I think it's funny as I'm talking to you and all that, and I know what it's like growing up in the north, Liverpool, Manchester, and all that. And there's a persona sometimes that we have to put on as well. We can't be seen as a pushover, but at the same time, we don't want to be taken for the ride.
No, definitely. I feel like, being from, like a rough area like myself, obviously doing comedy, people, because I've got a lot of material on like my brothers and, growing up, because my comedy is very observational. So I always act things out to kind of say, oh, you ever seen this guy at the gym, or your brother at a party? This happens, that happens. People assume I'm this, like, kind of tough cookie kind of thing. And I'm just like, nah, like I feel like I'm a, straight, normal guy who, I can just get along with anyone. I'm not this guy who's like, yeah, I take no shit or whatever. Like, if anything ever like kicked off, if you like, and I'm with like my wife or my brother, and something comes their way, like, I'll be there. I'm not someone who's gonna like run away or, I kind of feel like I've got my morals right, where if something needed to happen, then I'd just be there for the people who are close to me.
When was the last time you fought?
Probably my twin brother in year 7. Because I think someone like just said, "Oh yeah, your brother thinks you're a muppet," and I just kind of
Name
went,
him. Who said it? Name the person now.
Oh, I don't know who it was. It was. I think he was called Liam. I think it was. I can't think his last name, but Liam.
Don't say Gallagher.
Yeah, Liam Gallagher. Yeah. And I was going like, "Go on then, I'll fucking let you. Put your cameras away, mate." Like, all right, Liam. But yeah, no, it was someone who just like, when you're year 7 and like people can just kind of goad you into anything.
Stare in the pot.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think I just like went over and pushed my brother, and then I think he punched me, and then I headbutted him, and then it finished quite rapid. And then we just both afterwards kind of went, what we're doing? Like, we're brothers. And then my brother had a fight with someone not long after that. So it's, in school, it's just daft, isn't it? When people have fights, they just basically say, yeah, like, you looked at me, or just something daft where they just go, I'll see you after school, mate. And he basically said, this lad said it to my brother, and he was like, yeah, okay. And then my brother won this fight, and then about a week later, the guy who my brother beat, his best mate, said, "I want you to fight because your brother beat my mate." And I was like, okay. And then that got broke up. No one really won. And that's it, really, in terms of having scraps or whatever. Like, I've never really been in situations, because I feel like I'm not someone who would want, any sort of altercations with anyone. I wouldn't start, or, I feel like I'm total opposite me. I just kind of keep myself to myself, have a laugh. But, like I mentioned, if it came, something happened, I'd stick up for myself. So, yeah.
Okay. And you can always throw cheating mail in. I'm from cheating mail.
Yeah, I'll just say, like, I'm from Cheetah Mill. Do you want a tracksuit or not? I'll get you one.
Tell me, you're close to your brother. What does
Yeah.
that bond mean to you?
Oh, everything. Yeah, everything. I think it's like my best mate. Like, obviously you get everyone's got best mates, aren't they? But I see him as like, I go to him for like anything happens, or I want to talk to someone, I always go to my brother. I don't think I'll be here if it weren't for my brother, like this kind of person who I am. Because it's,
How so?
I don't know. I just feel like, because I feel like I look up to my twin brother. You know what I mean? I didn't have a dad growing up. Obviously, I've got older brothers. They kind of kept themselves to themselves. And with my twin brother, like he's tougher than me anyway. Do you know what I mean? He just kind of stuck up for me in school, for example. Like, he was just there, like, just doing what brother things do. Like, I think being brothers, like, you kind of scrap a little bit when you're younger. You want to be the standout, to your mum. You want to be
Yeah.
known as this, like, he's the troublemaker, not me. And I felt like we went through that a lot, but he was always there regardless. And I always, like, even like when I was struggling through like uni, like after uni, I was transitioning into becoming like a grown up, being independent. He was already, because he didn't go to uni or anything. He just got a job straight away. And if if I ever like needed anyone, if I ever needed any sort of like money or anything like that, he was always there. And so he's like, apart from my wife, he's definitely like the most important person in my life, I'd say. Yeah.
That's
Obviously my mum
interesting.
as well, of course, do you know what I mean? But it's just being a twin, it's like having a twin brother is like, I don't know, it's a different bond, I guess.
You love him.
Yeah, I love him, yeah. Even though like we just like,
Have you said that to him?
yeah, I think like we to be fair, we say it after every phone call, to be fair. We just kind of go, yeah, I love you, bro. Take care. Both say it. I think like when we're in person or something, like for example, if we do anything, like, I think like when he was like, oh, like me and my wife are having a kid, I was like, yeah, so you just have that, like it's that man thing where you just kind of push each other and go, Muppet. Got a drink then, yeah. Do you know what I mean? But then you're kind of buzzing for each other. But at the same time, it's there's that love there as well. So yeah, we've always had that, I think. Yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with your mum. Because your mum bringing up 4 lads
I know.
in
It's
Manchester. Fucking hell, that mustn't have been easy.
nah, hats off to her. I think like if my mum was ever, say like if we was round families or somewhere, and like someone's like like if a couple's got a baby and they're like, oh, I can't cope, having a baby's tough. My mum's just like, yeah, I had 4 on my own, so it doesn't exist to my mum. But no, yeah, she's like the strongest woman I know. She's never complained. She's just kind of like made sure she's looked after all 4 of us. She's there for us, and more than ever now, we're being older. We like to be there and look after our mum as well, more than
Paper,
anything. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like obviously, mums are very, mums can be stubborn and thick-skinned, where they feel
all of
like,
that.
yeah, do you know what I mean? Like they don't need help. They raised you, but like you kind of feel like you give something back, not
Yeah,
not because you feel like you owe it, like you kind of do like owe it for the rest of your life, I guess, but not as in debt. You just do it because it's like you get to the point where like you end up looking after them.
yeah.
Like when you.
It's natural order of things, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like more than anything, I guess, because the most important people in your life are your parents, your siblings. When you get married, having kids, they're the people who you just look after her, especially your mum. When she starts getting to an age now, she's looking to retire in a few years. So that'd be a case of just us making sure, even though she'll say, I'm fine, you just make sure you're there. So, yeah.
Did you feel the TLC of mum growing up? Tender love and care. Did she tell you she loved you?
Yeah, I feel like with my mum, obviously having 4 kids, she wasn't like the kind of softy mum, if you like. She wasn't, she was always there, like always loving. But, I feel like it obviously took its toll, knowing that she had to work, come home, raise, obviously it couldn't have been easy. Like I mentioned before, bringing up one kid can be stressful with 2 parents, but I mean, one parent bringing up 4 lads, like I'll never know how she did it. So, I feel like she maybe was stressed and put a lot on herself. And like, there was, when there's arguments in the house, you can hear it from upstairs, downstairs. But overall, she was always, like when you went to bed, she always said like, loved you, always come up in the morning, give you a brew, cereal, just the little things where, that's being like a mum, when it's not even like, like parents obviously like, they clothe you, they feed you, they keep a roof over your head, but little things like that, where they tell you like they love you, or, like come downstairs, you've got a bacon sarnie on the table, little things, like just shows how much an amazing mum she is, like all round, like looking after us. So yeah, it was always there, I'd say. Yeah.
Do you tell her how amazing she's been?
Yeah, no, more than ever now, I guess, because obviously when you grow up and you're in that kind of bubble with like four lads, all that testosterone, and like just growing up for where we grew up, you kind of like I mentioned with with my twin brother, like we'll say love you to each other every day, but like obviously growing up now and being married and being an adult, it kind of rolls off your tongue now, where you can kind of just say love your mum, you've been amazing. Like she's looking to like move house at the minute, so we're helping her, little things like that. And she's always like, oh, I'm not being a botherer, man. I'm like, no, you're our mum, like we'd do anything for you. It was Mother's Day recently. It's always a good time to take her out, spoil her, buy presents, take her out for a nice meal, just let her relax. Even I think anytime we all get together, me and my brother always like make sure mum's relaxed and just well looked after. So yeah, she definitely knows. Like we're all always telling her like we love her and how amazing she is. Yeah.
Tell me about university. Which one did you go to? What did you study?
I went to Salford Uni, and I studied
Okay.
Salford University in Manchester, and I studied comedy. Funny enough, which is like what I spent 47 grand to try and be funny. That was my thought as well when I took my hat up. I was like, am I funny, anyone? Do you know what I mean? Just like 3 years. I think the course is shutting down after this year. It's just not got the attraction everyone thought it would. You're getting 10, 15 students doing the course per year. So it's a shame, because obviously Manchester as well, like, it's my hometown. To start comedy there, it's difficult, isn't it? Because all my brothers are very well hard working. Like they use their hands, they work in
Manual. Yeah.
manual labour. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm going on stage, and they're like, you what, lad?
What have they thought of that? What have they said about that?
Obviously, my twin brother's like, yeah, buzzing kind of thing. Like they've all been buzzing. They've all like been supportive. I feel like growing up, I think like my oldest brother was a bit like, what? So what happens after that? And like basically saying, is there a point in trying to pursue that career? Because they're probably like see it as like they kind of know it's just you've got to work and you've got to bring the money in. However, what way, but there was always supportive, and they've been to like the odd gig and like when I started off, but I think it's like kind of cool in a way, because I'm doing something completely different.
Absolutely.
Like not, yeah, because obviously I've worked jobs what require 10, 12 hours a day, like lifting stuff over my shoulders to setting up rooms and getting place is ready for, you know, like a big event, and then go into a gig after that, you know. And then I always said to myself, you know, I want to do comedy full time, and you know, doing university, that was kind of like the first step, because it was like a step into the world of performance where I could see what I wanted to really do. Is it stand up? Is it TV? Is it radio? Is it something, you know, like writing? You know, but I always kind of knew to myself that I want to do something where I'm on camera. You know, like doing something physical or on stage where someone can see me acting stuff out. So,
when did you recognize or realize you had that creative aspect to you? How old were you?
I think like doing in school, you know, I kind of just used to be the class clown, like clown, if you like. I used to just like, yeah, just like not like wanting to show off or anything. I've just always been this sort of person who just does like mad noises and like, you know, like doing quotes from films and getting sent out a lesson and getting detention for that. Like, and then I think it was a case of like one of my teachers in school was like, you should do acting or some sort of performance. So I went to college after that when all my mates, you know, they went to doing sport, bricklaying, you know, like something where,
and all of that, yeah.
yeah, do you know what I mean? And then I was like, I'm going to do performing arts. And they were like, Muppet, sort your head out, you know, just like joking, but at the same time, you know, it's lads in it at that age.
Of course.
Kind of like,
but you must have been brave, though, to have been single-minded and vision to say, you know what,
yeah,
this is where I'm going.
I think that's what it was. Like, as much as I wanted to like be around the people I buzzed off in school, like, you know, all my mates was doing like sport or, like I said, something to do with like manual labor, you know, something where they're going to be building or running about or fitness, you know. But I kind of just took that risk of like going into because I remember going into college and I walked into this big space where everyone was getting ready for induction. There must have been about like 100 people, and I was just walked in there, and I remember walking back out straight away, going like, "Nah, I can't do this." And then I straight away was like, "Nah, come on," you know. And then I started meeting a few people who I still talk to this day. You know, I got a whole new bunch of mates in college, pissing around, you know, having a laugh, doing acting, and then I kind of was like, I kind of felt after college like university is like the next step. Still not knowing I wanted to do stand up, say, and then I did the course, and then I kind of stopped for a bit, and then just obviously growing up and being independent, I had to, you know, get a job. You know, I couldn't really, because you know it's difficult to obviously try and get into stand up and get paid, and you know even like acting or singing or whatever, like you can't really make money from it straight away. So obviously, like I got a job at, because I used to work at Etihad. I used to work for Man City for like 6 years after uni. So
Somebody has to.
yeah, oh yeah, someone's got to, you know, empty them bins and that. But doing that, I was able to kind of like do comedy you know, in the evening. I think I started doing comedy in 2019. I really wanted to. I put it on the shelf for about 4 years after uni, and then I just like, I don't know. I was kind of like, not like I wasn't ready, but I just thought to myself like, I want to do it when the time's right. And then, you know, one of my friends who I'm good friends with today, he just said, do comedy, like not like working in, you know, the Etihad's a bad thing. Like any job's not bad because you've got to do it to get money, but
Absolutely.
make sure you start. Yeah, he was like, make sure you start doing comedy again. So started doing that in 2019 for a good 6-8 months, and then COVID happened, and then I've just pursued it since, and then kind of got lucky from that video, really. Like, yeah, so it's been a wild kind of like 5-6 years so far.
And you're doing it full time?
Yeah, I started doing it full time end of last year. End of 2023. Like I took the risk as well at the same time, but I just felt like everything what was building up from the video, I started getting, you know, good deals and collaborations, and you know, I've got myself an agent, and I started doing, you know, like kind of Carl and Friends shows with comedy, and looking to do a tour now. So I'm kind of still building and, you know, looking to do things I want to still do. But yeah, I feel like it's all risk as well at the same time with comedy, and any sort of performance kind of form, because you've kind of got to take that risk, you know, and be that minded, you know.
Are you single-minded?
When it comes to stuff, yeah. I feel like if I want to do something and I'm like really focused on it, like I was with comedy, I'd definitely pursue that, and kind of maybe give myself a time limit of if it's the right thing to do and I get to where I want to get to in a certain time, then I know I've done the right thing. But then again, if it doesn't happen, say like if I did comedy, for example, and then it gets to end of this year, next year, and it just seems that I've not really progressed or whatever, if I give it up, say, obviously, hopefully I'll keep doing it for a long time, but at least I can say I tried, and you know what I mean? Because, you know, that's all you can do really if it doesn't work
100%.
out.
What does progress look like to you then today?
I think obviously, you know, going full time when I did, it wasn't a time schedule. Like maybe I kind of said to myself in 2022, I kind of said I want to be full time in the next 2-3 years, and I got that through what happened. And then now, you know, the progress is I'm further ahead than I thought, but there's still a lot of progress to do to where I want to get to. You know, with wanting to do my own tour.
Okay.
You know, that's in the works, hopefully in the next kind of 6 to 12 months. I have got certain projects I'm doing at the minute, which I can't really,
No, it's okay.
discuss kind of thing, but they're very exciting, where I didn't think I'd ever do that sort of thing, but I've been fortunate to do it through things. And then just kind of keep building, really, you know, keep doing the content, keep putting out sketches and, you know, stand-up clips, and yeah, just keep kind of building my profile really, and seeing where I am year by year. You know, I feel like you've got to set yourself goals. You know, like this year, the goal was to finalize and confirm a tour, even if it's in December, and I can officially announce that I'm doing a tour. That's the main goal this year, I'd say, amongst other things. So yeah, progress is looking good. It's going in the right direction. So I'm happy at the moment. Yeah.
Good. I've got a question from a listener, Pete. He says, what was it like meeting Kevin Bridges, and how did it feel, him liking your material?
Oh God, like Kevin Bridges is like one of my all-time greats, like top 2, top 3 growing up.
Who are your top 3? If he's there, who else? Who's the other 2?
Well, Lee Evans is at the top.
I was going to say because of the physical comedy.
Yeah.
Lee
Like,
Evans is definitely there.
I started watching him at 11, and I've been hooked since. And if I ever met him, you know, I'd probably collapse and not meet him. I'd probably say Peter Kay's got to be up there. Just again with, he studied at Salford, and we met him. He came in and did a masterclass where he came in and basically like discussed his rise, which was like pretty phenomenal. And with him being such a icon, really, in terms of like his, you know, like comedy in the North, you know, all the sayings, you know what I mean? You know, garlic bread and just everything he does. It's so like,
yeah.
I've never seen a crowd, when it pans to the crowd when he's saying something, they always look at who they're sat next to going, you do that. Like it's genius kind of comedy to do. But yeah, Kevin Bridges, I started watching him when I was about 18, and I found out he was basically I was doing my Carl and Friends show in between his work in progress shows at the same theatre in London, and I was like, you know, what do I do? And I just came off stage. I think I just finished my show, and I was like, you know, drenched. And I went into the green room, and Kevin Bridges stood there. I think it was April last year. I just had another video a couple of weeks before that go viral. It was a manager's antics on the sideline. It was just me basically stood there doing all this stuff, and I really didn't know what to say to him because I was pretty, you know, starstruck. And as soon as I walked in the room, he just looked at me and he went, "Your manager video, it's good. I like it." And I was just like, oh, cheers, Kevin. He was like, "Hey, how'd you do it? Did you just have a single cameraman just there filming?" And then, funny enough, as he said that, my mate who was on the show with me, he films everything, and he walked in, and I just went, "He filmed it. like just kind of put him in the fire. But no, he was very complimentary, which is just crazy because obviously I said to him like I'm a huge fan. I have been for many years, and it was just kind of cool. It wasn't even the fact that he was there just watching or he was doing a show. I was like on the same bill. In a way, I was on the same night as Kevin Bridges, so it was one of the biggest moments I think in my career so far, just to meet, like one of the best comics in the in the country. So yeah, it was pretty surreal. And he's a very down to earth, like genuine guy. Had the time to chat to us for a bit before his show. He could have just said what he needed to and got off, but he was, having a good laugh with everyone. We got pictures, and it was great. Yeah.
Do you reckon sometimes comedians can be quite aloof?
What, kind of keep themselves to themselves?
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon so. I feel like anyone really, like any sort of, because I've fortunately met, like some kind of famous people in like different areas of, like sport or, like comedy and stuff, and like kind of people keep themselves to themselves, don't they? And don't want to be approached, but I don't know. I mean, would I say it's a bad trait to have? I wouldn't say so. I feel like it's
just
maybe
curious. And tell me,
yeah.
how are you received down south? I only
Yeah.
ask because I always feel that there's a difference between north and south in terms of the way that the comedy is offered and delivered.
Yeah, like everyone's super nice. It is difficult to get certain bits about, if I'm talking about Salford or growing up in, subjects about growing up in a certain estate. Like it won't get the same reaction. It'll get like a good reaction still, but it won't get the same reaction up north because, they don't really know things what go down.
Absolutely.
In the north, and then vice versa. People come down from south, and Kevin Bridges does so many good bits when he's doing his tour show, or you've watched his DVDs. He does a lot of stuff in Scotland. So when he talks about stuff, him growing up in Scotland, the crowd are like buzzing off it. Like he talks about an empty, which is like referred to as a party back there. Like so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like their version of like, does anyone? He says like an empty, and like everyone's like just screaming. But I feel like if you did it down here in like Manchester, Liverpool, London, we'd be like an empty. What you know about? It's just how it's received, isn't it? But I think like most crowds just, what I mean, they respect and understand it, but they don't really get the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
It lands differently. Got a second question here. If you had one footy manager in the front row of a gig watching you impersonating them, who would it be and why? That's from Stephen B.
Stephen B. Shout out. I've got to go Klopp. Jurgen Klopp.
Go on.
Like he's just the most charismatic, guy, and in football
your face is beaming. Do you know that?
Oh, is it? Yeah. Imagine
is.
that though. Like just doing a show and Klopp's going, wow. Oh, does this? I'd be obviously on the edge of my seat thinking, Jesus, I need to nail this. But if there was one manager, I'd have to back Jurgen Klopp. He's changed Liverpool, any football club, and
100%.
It's just him as a personality. Like, you don't get many managers like that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'd say Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. You're on the Hurt Locker, and we're talking about mental health, though we've spoke very little about it. But you know what? You've painted a picture in that for me. And I'm wondering, first question directed to you is, how do you deal with stress and stresses?
It is difficult.
Do you cope, or do you find it challenging?
I think it can be challenging individually because, people sometimes do like to, not like to, but they seem to just kind of keep it in themselves and like deal with it individually on their own. I think, I've fortunately got like, good people around me like my wife and, like my brother I mentioned, where if I've learned really to be open, it's the best way. Don't ever leave anything inside, and because it can obviously lead to, where you watch podcasts or any sort of documentaries, or you hear stories on people, it can be it's just a dark place, isn't it, where, you let it take over.
Have you known people who've died by suicide?
I've known a few people, yeah. Like there was a guy around. I knew him growing up, but he basically, took his own life. He had a little, kid. Not long really, and it's one of those, isn't it, where you really never know what someone's going through, how they're feeling, and it's never really it's difficult to see someone struggling.
Yes.
I guess because it isn't something where when you go to someone and someone's been under the weather or something, you can instantly go, well, you don't look too good, you've been ill, yeah. But with like that sort of stuff, because it's not shown, they keep it in. It's you never really know what anyone's going through, so you've always got to be. Yeah, I feel like even when I see anyone, because I obviously get public transport, everywhere, so even if I see some guy or someone just sat there, I just give them a nod and say, all right, like it can go a long way, can't it? Even though.
Absolutely. And you do that?
Yeah, if I see anyone, or like, I think I went to Manchester last night to watch the derby with one of my mates who's a Liverpool fan, and there was a elderly guy at the zebra crossing, or the waiting for the lights to go green, basically. The little man to go green, and he just looked like he was, you just didn't know whether it was old age or him just keep himself to himself, and I just kind of just pretty much helped him across the road just to say, are you okay? Do you need any help and that? And he was thankful that, in the end he was very like, oh, appreciate it. Like just even, that can just make someone's day, can't it? So
100%. You said about it's important to open up and that.
Yeah.
When did you take the plunge, as it were? When did you realise that it's better for it to be out than in?
I just think when you, like I mentioned about a guy who I knew back home, it's just, you kind of feel to yourself, oh, it's not that bad, is it? You're not, it's not a thing what's going to take over mentally and emotionally, but it is just better to, I feel like there's some times where I haven't maybe opened up about, maybe I'm not happy about something, and it does build up where you think, you can kind of not like lose the plot, but people obviously start maybe seeing you act differently and acting differently in certain situations. So it's, I just feel like I've kind of been, I don't know, like smart with it in a way where anything what's on your mind, even if you think it's the smallest thing, just sit down and speak to someone about it, because it does relieve pressure. Like you kind of feel, there's a point where I wasn't really happy about where I was living, and I let it build up for ages, and it was like where I was like, as if I was punishing myself, where I was like, oh, like I can't talk to anyone about it because no one understands. But even when you get it, you speak to your close ones, like you actually feel pressure off your shoulders, so maybe that was one of the first times. I don't think I've had a lot of times, but that was definitely like a big one where that was building up for a few years.
That's a long time. Yeah. It's 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, because time kind of just flies by anyway, doesn't it? So
it does.
When you're kind of getting on with it, and then you look and then you think about that thing again, you're just like, nothing's changing, like I've not. But then again, it's like you're not telling anyone, you're not speaking to anyone about it. So because maybe you think like if I mention it to my wife, she might think, oh, like he doesn't want to live here, so he might want to leave and not come back and not be with me and stuff. But it's, even when you say you open up and just tell her how you feel about a situation, it does feel a hell of a lot better. Like you feel better in yourself.
But you've got to allow yourself to feel vulnerable at the same time, isn't it? In order to come out with your own truths. Why do you think guys don't talk or speak up or open up?
It's a known thing, isn't it? It's very, complicated to know that answer, to be honest, because you see so many people, like sportsmen talking about certain people who they know have ended up taking their own lives, and they feel like, why didn't they open up? Maybe men just think opening up's not the right thing, but like I said, little things where I'd say to my brother, like, I love you, and that, guys can get a bit, not like funny with it, but they just feel like feelings is not a guy thing. But it doesn't matter if you're a guy, girl, anyone. Feelings are feelings, and people want to know how people feel. Everyone needs to know that they've got someone they can open up to, even if they feel
Absolutely.
like they're not, like they don't. Like I said, I like to just ask, or if I see someone on the train or in public and that, even if I'm at a, like in a queue, and someone's like behind me who's a bit older, I always just say, yeah, after you. Just little things where they're just like, it shows like they're not alone in anything.
Would it surprise you to know that the Northwest has the highest rates of suicide per 100,000 for men anywhere in the
Wow.
country?
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't know that. I don't know if it does like surprise me, because I know it is big everywhere, isn't it? But to know it's where you're based, it's it's sad, isn't it? It's just, yeah, I would have never thought that, to be honest. Maybe I thought maybe it would have been London or somewhere, the biggest place.
No, London's got the lowest.
Oh, wow.
London's got the lowest, and before this year, it was up in the northeast, but now it's the northwest.
Jeez. That's a lot of numbers as well, like you mentioned. Like,
It
the
is.
ratio. It's crazy. Yeah. Never would have thought that. That's what I mean. That's why it's important to just to open up, even if you think I don't know, they might think they're being silly or,
And
something.
that's the fear, isn't it?
Yeah,
That guys,
100%.
you won't take me seriously, or you think I'm daft, or I'm worrying about something that's minor than that.
I think that's it. They worry and they think they're going to be embarrassed
Yeah,
about, but it's not at all, because it effectively can save lives.
it does.
So,
It does. I'm curious. How do you think you would be as a father?
uh,
And would it be different from having a little girl as opposed to a little boy?
we always joke, actually, like, if I had a girl, she'll be like a proper daddy's girl and that. Or if I had a lad, he'd be like, just like being like me, just bouncing around, being like mad. But either way, I'd be buzzing to have either one. Because everyone says, even when you don't have kids and it's scary to kind of think about it, everyone always says it's the best thing in the world, and there's no better feeling than creating this little thing and then growing up and watching it become, a person. So I don't know. I probably want a little girl, to be honest. It's like, maybe it's different because obviously my twin brother's got a little lad, so you know what I mean. Maybe I'm just like, if I had a choice, I'd probably like pick having a little girl. Yeah.
Yeah. You said it a couple of times right at the beginning, so I'm going to ask you, who's the most important person in your life? You can only pick one person.
Oh, that's I can't. I
You
can't.
can only pick one person.
It's not, I'll either get divorced or blocked. I mean, I know you're saying pick one, but I'd always have to say my wife and twin brother. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
What if I said you were wrong? What if I said it's you? What if I said the most important person in your life is you?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's mentality, isn't it? Where,
You can't embrace that, can you?
nah, because it's just like we just want to make sure everyone around us is fine. It's kind of like the natural like thing, isn't it? Embedded in someone. Like, you don't really think about yourself at times, do you? You always want everyone else around you to be happy and make sure they're all, safe and sound. But it's interesting that saying that, yeah.
But what if I say to you that if you take care of business for you, then you're more able to be there for those people who are important in your life. You're more present then.
Yeah, as my best self, you know. But yeah, I feel like, because I'm sure someone said it recently, where they were like, as long as you're looking after yourself, then you can be there and look after, you know, all the people around you is important. But I guess with you asking that question before, I'd straight away be like, you know, I want to make sure the people who I love are the most important people who need to be looked after.
You know what, Carl? You're all right. You're half decent, lad. You are.
You too, man. I appreciate that. You too.
Definitely, seriously. How's it been being on the Hurt Locker for you?
Honestly, I've genuinely had you know, a top experience talking to yourself, discussing everything we've mentioned. It's been like chilled, and I've just felt comfortable being able to open up and talk about certain things. What, you know, again, you know, some people never want to open up about certain things, but you know, it's been a blessing to open up to yourself and have a really good in-depth chat about everything.
You know what? I don't know. There's something. I know you're a private person. I just get that sense. It's funny, isn't it? We can wear that mask. We can be outgoing and gregarious to the world, but inside, in private, we can just be very closed off and all of that, you know?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I don't mind saying, there's something fucking beautiful about you.
Oh,
You know?
cheers, man.
Genuinely.
No, I appreciate that.
You know? I know you've got plans, you know, you've got things in the pipeline and all that, but are people going to see you in Brazil or in Japan or anything like that?
I mean, if that opportunity sprung, I wouldn't be saying no. I'll be flying straight out there in whatever motion they want me to be in, you know? So, you know, that'd be like something if it came about. Yeah, that would be something different, wouldn't it? Whole new world.
Will we see you on telly?
I mean, hopefully, if the opportunities come, like I've got, you know, I mentioned I've got a few things which is exciting, which I can't really discuss, but that's the plan anyway. In the next year, hopefully make an appearance on something anyway.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. You've been
No
listening
problem.
to the Hurt Locker. Karl Porter, you've been a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Hurt Locker is a safe space for our guests to openly share their mental health experiences. If you have been affected by any of the content in this recording, then please reach out for support. If it is an emergency, dial 999. If you would like to talk to somebody today, then please call the Samaritans on 116 123. Stay safe. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Hurt Locker. Please give us a rating or share with another listener. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Hurt Locker Pod.